What if the biggest threat to your retirement isn't stocks, bonds, or rising prices, but the adult kids you invited back home? You've spent decades building a nest egg, planning for healthcare costs, and guarding against inflation, all while assuming family support would be a minor footnote. But the truth is, when grown children lean on you for rent, bailouts, or emotional lifelines, those hidden expenses can drain your savings faster than a market crash. In this video, we'll uncover 5 shocking ways adult kids can quietly sabotage your retirement plans, from surprise utility bills and emergency cash calls to forced housing decisions and emotional burdens you never budgeted for. Stick around, because inflation may grab headlines, but these family-driven costs could empty your account long before prices even double. When your grown child moves back in, it can feel like a relief until you open the next utility bill and realize the thermostat wars are costing you an extra $200 a month. Suddenly, you're covering groceries you never shopped for, restocking toiletries you didn't buy, and dealing with wear and tear on carpets and appliances you thought were paid off. And it's not just the obvious expenses. That extra roommate uses more water, more electricity, and more Wi-Fi bandwidth, driving up bills you'd already budgeted against inflation. What starts as a temporary arrangement can morph into an open-ended commitment, stretching your mortgage, property taxes, and HOA dues across more square footage when you assume those costs were fixed. You end up subsidizing rent you can't write off because, unlike a tenant, your child isn't on the lease. Before you know it, the small comforts you've earned in retirement, heat in every room, freshly laundered linens, quiet evenings, come at a price you never saw coming. And that's only the beginning. It starts innocently enough, a quick call for a few $100s each month to help cover rent, groceries, or an unexpected bill. You tell yourself it's temporary, a bridge until they find their footing. But month after month, that $1,500 check you earmarked for travel, hobbies, or extra health coverage evaporates. Before long, supporting an adult child becomes less of a loan and more of a recurring expense you can't escape. That cushion you built for market downturns and rising medical costs is quietly shrinking dollar by dollar, with hardly a ripple on your monthly statement. What makes this so dangerous is the compounding effect. Unlike inflation, which can be forecast, managed, and even harnessed through investments, these family-driven withdrawals are unpredictable and emotionally charged. One month they need car repairs, the next they've lost a job and can't cover their share of utilities. Each plea feels valid, each refusal feels harsh, and so you keep saying yes. But every time you do, your retirement timeline stretches further into the unknown, and the safe buffer you worked decades to create dissolves under the weight of goodwill. And there's no easy cap. Unlike bills you can negotiate down or refinance, these personal transfers don't come with a contract or an end date. You may believe that once your child's career stabilizes, the support stops, but life rarely follows that neat path. A medical scare, relationship setback, or a move to a costly city can trigger another round of requests. Suddenly, you're budgeting not just for your own needs, but for every emergency their lives produce. Worse still, constant money drains force you to adjust other retirement plans. You delay selling the vacation home, postpone the cruise you've been dreaming of, or pull back on that investment class you were excited about. What feels like small sacrifices become major life changes when multiplied over years, and by the time inflation has doubled prices, your account balance may have already halved. And this steady bleed isn't just financial. It seeps into your peace of mind, turning what should be a joyful golden age into a cycle of anxiety and guilt. Because when the next bill arrives, you will be left wondering, is this really their problem, or is it the one you never planned for? But that steady drip can turn into a flood the moment life throws a curveball. Imagine hearing the ring of your phone at midnight, only to learn your adult child's car broke down on the highway, and just a few hundred could get them home safely. You're happy to help, but that emergency loan comes right out of your carefully guarded retirement buffer, the one meant to protect you from market swings or unexpected medical bills. Then a month later, it's a phone call for rent when their job fell through, followed by another plea for rent money when they decide to pursue a new career path. And once you start bailing them out, it's hard to know when it will stop. Each crisis feels urgent, each request feels justified, and each time you reach into your savings to help, you chip away at the very cushion you built to safeguard your later years. What's worse, these bailouts aren't predictable like inflation or investment losses. You can't hedge against your kid's next hardship or buy insurance for a personal setback. And when you factor in the emotional weight of saying no, you quickly realize that these aren't simple financial transfers, but deep personal obligations you can't escape. The result is a depleted emergency fund just when you need it most, a health scare, a market downturn, or a sudden necessary repair on your home. Without those reserves, you may have to liquidate investments at inopportune times, lock in losses, or rack up credit card debt. Moves you never planned on, and that can derail your entire retirement strategy. Meanwhile, your child may feel entitled to continue calling on you. Believing your nest egg is an endless well of support rather than a finite resource you earn through decades of work. And because these bailouts are often framed as one-off help instead of ongoing responsibility, it's easy to underestimate their long-term impact until you find your account balance significantly lower than you expected. But the burden doesn't end with money. There's also the emotional stress of juggling loyalty, guilt, and self-preservation, leaving you constantly torn between being a loving parent and protecting your own future. And if you think the costs stop at bailouts, just wait until you see how housing dynamics can trap you into even greater financial commitments. When you pictured retirement, you probably imagined swapping your large family home for a cozy cottage, lower taxes, smaller mortgage, less upkeep. But the moment your adult child needs a bedroom, or worse, refuses to move out, that dream evaporates. Suddenly, you're stuck carrying a mortgage on square footage you no longer need, paying property taxes based on a home's peak value, and shouldering landscaping, roof repairs, and utility bills that only grow with time. Downsizing becomes impossible because what was once your sanctuary has become a lifeline for someone else. You can't just list the house to free up equity if you don't have an extra room to offer, and you can't force a grown adult to find their own place without risking family discord. So you keep hoping your child will move on, even as the years slip by and the carrying costs eat into the money you carefully set aside for travel, healthcare, or that dream hobby you've always wanted to pursue. And it's not just the direct hit on your finances. Being anchored to a larger home limits your ability to relocate closer to friends, downsizing services, or retirement communities where healthcare access and amenities might be more affordable. The rigidity of your real estate decisions stalls your plans and traps you in a high-cost environment you thought you'd left behind. What starts as a generous gesture morphs into a permanent roadblock, and each year you delay, downsizing means more cash diverted toward upkeep and less toward living your best life. But the fallout isn't limited to dollars and cents. The tangled web of family expectations, estate planning concerns, and emotional bonds creates an unseen burden that can weigh even heavier than the monthly bills. And when that invisible cost finally surfaces, it can be even more damaging than any financial surprise. A pressure we'll unravel in the next section. It's not just the dollars, it's the emotional toll that often goes uncounted. When adult children lean on you financially or live under your roof, they don't simply add expenses. They tug at your peace of mind, upend your routines, and introduce a layer of stress that can quietly erode both your health and your savings. Imagine trying to finalize your estate plans while fielding daily arguments over rent fairness or chore schedules. Picture drafting a will only to face your child's resentment when you set strict inheritance boundaries. Or consider the late-night worries about their financial stability bleeding into your sleep, driving up your blood pressure and doctor visits. These are not hypothetical scenarios. Psychologists find that persistent family conflict raises cortisol levels, which can accelerate cognitive decline and increase medical bills, costs you never factored into your retirement budget. Then there's the legal fallout, contested wills, mediation fees, or the need to hire attorneys to enforce prenuptial agreements for grandchildren, all because you struggled to set boundaries when they moved back in. That means thousands gone from your account, not because of market swings or price hikes, but because emotional strain demanded professional intervention. And don't forget the hidden productivity losses. Countless hours spent mediating arguments or helping adult children navigate crises, time you could have devoted to a part-time passion project or volunteer work that supplements your income and keeps you engaged. Over years, this emotional labor accumulates into real financial losses, therapy bills, healthcare costs, legal fees, lost opportunity income. Numbers that can rival inflation's worst impact. Yet these intergenerational strains rarely make it onto retirement calculators. They sit in the shadows, quietly chipping away at the lifestyle you envisioned. If you ignore the human side of budgeting, you'll face more than a depleted bank balance. You'll confront a retirement marred by stress, conflict, and regret. And when that invisible cost finally surfaces, it can be even more damaging than any price spike in your grocery cart. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, the cost of supporting adult children isn't just a series of small sacrifices. It can mushroom into a full-blown crisis that eclipses even the fiercest inflation surge. Those extra utility charges, grocery runs, and household repairs add up, yes, but they're only the opening act. The real danger lies in the steady drip of monthly support that eats away at your cushion, the emergency bailouts that force you to raid your emergency fund, the impossibility of downsizing when you need every room filled, and the emotional and legal entanglements that multiply stress and unexpected bills when you're least able to handle them. What starts as a gesture of love can quickly turn into a financial and psychological trap that leaves you wondering if the retirement you meticulously planned will ever arrive. You spent years calculating market risk, mapping out healthcare needs, and protecting against rising costs. Yet few retirement models include the hidden toll of family dependency. These 5 warning signs aren't theoretical, they're the lived reality for millions of retirees who find their safe years overshadowed by unplanned obligations and relentless uncertainty. So, before you assume inflation is your biggest foe, ask yourself this. Are you truly prepared for the costs that could come calling from your own living room? Have you carved out boundaries, budgeted for unexpected support, and created backup plans that cover more than just rising prices? It's not too late to reset expectations, renegotiate living arrangements, and put legal safeguards in place to protect both your child's future and your own. A realistic retirement isn't built on assumptions of perfectly timed independence. It's built on clear agreements, honest conversations, and flexible strategies that account for life's unpredictable turns. Take a deep breath, review your plans, and start asking the tough questions today. Because the greatest threat to your golden years might be closer than you think. If this resonated with you, share your own experiences in the comments below, hit subscribe for more hidden retirement risks, and turn on notifications so you'll never miss the insights that could keep your future secure.